So thanks for joining us again today, guys. We are excited. A lot of what we're going to be talking about today was based on your feedback from the last fireside chat we had. So with that, I want to introduce my esteemed co-hosts here. So first and foremost, we have Michael Kennedy, who's known as Kennedy. So Michael Kennedy runs Astra, and Astra is a managed security as a service company. And so done a ton of amazing things in the industry, been around a long time. As you can see, we all have the gray hair, and we're just talking about our ages here. So their beards are a little longer than mine, though. So I got to catch up, guys. So Michael Kennedy, and we'll call you Kennedy going forward here. How are you doing today?
I'm good, thank you. Thanks for having me. A
Awesome.
little cooler here in the office with a fake
Yeah.
fire back there, but and then if I have a bright light shining on top of me, so you might get a little bit of that every once in a while. But
Yeah, we'll have to figure out the name. Is it still Fireside Chat during the summer, right? What the change
yeah,
the
yeah,
name. So also we have Evan Francen. So Evan is you're the CEO of Security Studio. You are the founder of FR Secure, and just kind of changed spots there as CEO to step down, but still an integral part of the whole thing. And man, Evan Francene's been doing amazing things in this industry for many, many years, and we're really excited to have you on as well, Evan. How are you doing today?
Sure. Doing well. I'm in Mexico,
looks
so it's good.
yeah,
It's
looks beautiful behind you.
yeah, it's good.
Yeah, look at those flowers, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, my wife does those. She did the other ones too. So many flowers, flowers and throw pillows.
Yeah, love that.
Not digging the throw pillows. Flowers are
Well,
cool.
awesome, guys. So, what we heard a lot in the last fireside chat was, guys are really wondering or wanting to pick your brains around things in the sales and marketing side of things. So we're going to get into a little bit of that today. But anybody have any opening remarks? Anything you guys have been seeing out there? Anything you want to talk about that's kind of hit in 2024 before we kind of jump into those things?
That's such an open-ended question.
Right.
Yeah, I
Uh,
don't,
I don't
go
know. I
ahead.
was talking to a professor friend of mine this morning, from the University of Minnesota, master's or whatever. And he got me started on AI, and that led to a whole long discussion. Yeah, I mean, you could take this anywhere. I don't even know where to start.
Yeah. Well, what Elon just turned on a
Neuralink.
Neuralink, so we heard that, right? And we heard
Yeah.
obviously AI, man, that's kind of going crazy these days. So you're right.
Well, it's
What
like
impacts do
anything,
you
man.
think some of that stuff's going to have this year?
It's like anything, there's nothing wrong with the tool. Are you using the tool right? You know, uh, it's about being responsible with the tool. There's nothing wrong with a table saw, but I wouldn't give a table saw to a toddler.
I
So
wouldn't get yeah.
AI is the same way. So what I use AI for, other than, stuff that other people probably shouldn't, but is, create ideas a lot. I'll use AI. I'm working on the latest curriculum for securing complex environments. And so I asked, just work with Chat GPT to give me some ideas on what I can create for an exercise for this course, stuff like that. And I was talking to a friend about bias, and people don't, and an irresponsible way to use AI is to not be discerning with the input, with the output, to not
Right.
understand where it comes from. One of the things my father taught me as a child that was, thank God, was always consider the source. And so people, will argue that, well, AI is not biased or whatever. But so I did a demonstration where I asked AI if God exists. Let's see the bias. And when you ask a yes, no question, and this is a tip for anybody, when you ask a yes, no question, the only unbiased valid responses are yes, no, I don't know. Anything else is bias. And so this long discussion with AI before you finally get to a point where, and it's talking about its beliefs, and I didn't ask you about your beliefs. I mean, it all the way to the point where it finally admitted it didn't know. But I think somebody who's not discerning and doesn't think critically would have taken the first answer that AI would have given them, and just gone with it, And so that led to a whole discussion to this morning about, where AI is going and what I think it's going to do to us.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. The source, right? I mean, because it's trained, so it's trained on something, from something, and how accurate was that information that it was fed? What was it provided? That sort of thing. So that makes a ton of sense as
Yeah.
far as something that should be a concern to everyone, right? Because especially as you lean more and more on the validity, the information, is this true? Is this not? Or you're just blindly sending it out, right? Which I think a lot of people are
Right.
using it for content and things like that, could essentially be completely wrong at the end of the day. And so, that's put out there and lives on Google and everywhere else as the truth, as fact, and it very well may not be.
Yeah. So go ask AI if God exists and play around with it. That's one of the great questions, because us as humans, still debate that all the time, right?
Yeah.
Belief and faith, but it is a yes, no question. And so it's yes, no, or I don't know, and anything, beyond that. And use the same thing when you're talking with people, with humans.
Prospects, right?
Identify, the places where there's bias, and then you get to choose what you want to do with it. Because there's nothing necessarily wrong with bias, but what's wrong is bias ignorance, where you ignore the fact that there is bias.
Yeah.
Or the false narratives. Yep.
Yeah, and so what's interesting about this topic, and we're just kind of talking here, is we go to these shows, we go to events, we're hearing lots about cybersecurity, and man, the buzzword in the industry is AI. I mean, every cybersecurity solution out there is touting some type of AI. We AI this, we AI that, right? So is that just a buzzword, or is it truly something that they're building into these platforms that is good for cybersecurity? Or I know your guys' take, Kennedy, is people, right? A lot of eyes on things. So what is the difference there, and how would you guys differentiate those two things when we hear this buzzword about AI and cybersecurity so much?
You get to go first.
I think I do. I think there's a couple. So it got overused in the beginning, especially the last, I would say, before the Chat GPT and all the different LLM models, everybody was AI. And when you would peel that back, there wasn't really anything true, like, and as AI stands for, in differentiated intelligence, right? So the way that we look at it is, and where we want to apply it is around patterns, noise reduction, kind of more of the data analytics, automation, running scripts and putting scripts together, and then automating those scripts to have it look at, to help us reduce the noise for our SOC team. I think that, like what Evan was talking about with the Chat GPT and how people use it is really going to be where we see some of that differentiator of, are they using it for as a tagline, or are they actually trying to use it for a specific initiative? And I think a lot of companies started with it as a tagline, and to machine learning and AI, and really, but most of it is kind of in that LLMs, the language models, the putting Chat GPT on top of it. But for us, it's going to be and it's, I don't know, it's like all of those. I think about it as operationally. So I use it. I use ChatGPT, to figure out what kind of itinerary I want to go on a trip. Going on to Mexico, what do I want to do? What are the things that I can do? I look at it to talk about if I'm struggling to write something, then use it as an outline. And it's the same with the way we as an organization try to use those tools of um, it's only as good as the information you put in, and it's not um, I don't know. I don't call it intelligence because it's not sentient to me. So
Yeah.
I call it a bunch of automation scripts that scroll through everything and then help you decide on different parameters that are set. So
Yeah.
um,
It seems like that, AI, at least in my mindset, when all of these vendors, tout AI, to me, it's almost like I think of it like that's doing the analyzing, or it's looking at things, and it's a person, which, both Austria and Security Studio, I think of their services as professional services with people, and
right.
people are doing the analyzing and asking the questions and doing all of those things, where, it seems like a lot of vendors out there are, again, touting this AI type of thing, which makes me think of like a person almost sitting there analyzing or doing these things, which, maybe it's a misconception, maybe we're just thinking of it wrong, but that's how I envision it. Is that how you guys see it as well, like from a marketing standpoint, what they're essentially doing?
Yeah, and then also from
And
well,
they're,
the way I look at it is, oh, sorry, I'm gonna keep talking. Is
no, no, man. I mean,
operation.
what they're doing is they're doing their job, man. Their job is to sell
Yeah,
shit.
Yeah.
yeah,
And so
yeah. Oh,
you
to
almost
sell
can't
shit on
blame
that
them for,
side.
you almost
Yeah,
can't blame them
no,
for doing it.
yeah,
But it's, it goes back to the buyer beware too, right? Why would I buy something if I don't know how to use it? If I don't know how to use it properly? So why would I even give
right,
two craps about AI if I don't understand how AI would actually benefit me?
right,
Yeah.
So, it's not only do you have to deal with the bias in any AI, every single AI ever will have bias because it was written by human beings, right? The algorithm. And the second thing about AI that I think we often overlook is the number of bugs
mm,
that are in AI, right? On average, 7 to 10 errors per KLOC. A KLOC's 1,000 lines of code. My truck that I just bought, I was telling you guys about today, has 150 million lines of code in it.
Yeah.
And so a security guy like me, being a weirdo like me, which, it's sad that it's weird because it shouldn't be weird, is I'm thinking through as I'm driving this truck, like what happens if the accelerator sticks? What happens if, I don't know what all the things that the code controls, but I'm trying to think of things that I'm going to do when it goes sideways.
Yeah, no longer is it just a cable that attaches to a
right.
carburetor and you go, right?
No,
Especially something
Yeah.
with AI, when you sell it early on, like they were doing in the marketing, that should tell you that there's a rush to
yeah,
production, right? There's a rush to get
right.
it out. Well, when you do that, you cut corners. So if in fact it is AI, which it probably isn't, but let's say, benefit of the doubt, it is AI, it's probably buggy as hell.
Right.
Yeah.
I
Good
don't like
point.
buggy, I don't like buggy stuff on my network.
No.
Yeah, it's something, we combat a lot in the risk management side of things, is the automated tools, the AI kind of thing, people out there, oh, you just run this on the network and you have a risk assessment done. And the reality is, like, I always kind of bring it up, like, that's all well and good. It might tell you there's a backup on your network, but does it tell you how often it's backed up? When the last time you tested it? No automated tool can tell you that. So you have to ask questions. You have to have that professional approach and talk to people. And I imagine that's the same, when we talk about AI. So, no, that's fantastic.
That's
So down the marketing road, guys, like, one of the things that came up in the last call we had, a lot of these businesses want more help in marketing and understanding in sales and all that good stuff. And you guys have both built successful businesses. And so with that, what do you guys think are some things you've learned over the years, marketing your businesses, maybe some failures, some things that you've run into that, lessons learned, if anything. You guys have any of those? So why don't we start with Kennedy?
Oh, I got lots of them. Um, the the two or three things that hit the top of my mind is honesty and authenticity is the first one. When we are authentic, we go in and we're transparent in our conversation and what we're talking about, then and then like our internally if we don't lie, we don't have to remember the lie. 'Cause it's a lot easier to remember the honest truth. The other side of it too is I think where we've struggled in the past is understanding who our buyer is in the business. Instead of, we talk about, I've been in the tech industry for quite a while, and where I always end up going is very technical. Start talking about the packets and the widgets and the network design and the security tools instead of and like Evan talked about, I think last time, it's pulling that back, and it's understanding the business drivers, understanding the business initiatives. How is where does security fit into their business plan? And then looking at it in that way, working with them as a business entity rather than someone that's just buying a widget.
Yeah.
And when we can get into that more of that thought leadership and that conversation with them around their business, then we seem to do better in that marketing and that stream. We get more adoption, we get more interest as well.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, Kennedy, because the idea that we're all kind of tech minded, right? And we love the tech side of things. We love everything we're doing, and we tend to, if we're the ones in charge of marketing, right? We're
Right.
usually like trying to drive the conversation around the tech and the high tech stuff and thinking about our product or our solution and what we do instead of thinking about the customer, what their needs are, who they are, do they even care about the tech, right? All of those things. And I think that's one place where a lot of businesses, have the wrong focus or have bad, spend money on bad marketing around the tech side of things sometimes. So that's a good point.
Or even just to
Yeah, go
check.
ahead.
I was going to say even to check a box too.
Yeah.
And they think they need an EDR, so they go buy an EDR, and then like we were talking about AI, they don't know what to do with it. And
Yeah.
now they have, and then it's not configured, it's not patched, it's not updated. Anyway. So sorry. Yeah.
No, that totally makes sense. How about you, Evan? Anything that comes to mind as far as failures in marketing or, lessons learned, things that you've done in the past with the couple companies that you have?
Yeah. Well, I'm not one, I mean, recognizing my own strengths and weaknesses. I mean, I'm not a marketing guy,
Yeah.
so, and it's funny because when I started Security Studio, I had a call with Stu Soderman, KnowBe4. He's the guy who started KnowBe4, people who don't know. And I asked him, look, man, you've had so much success before. Where should I spend my next dollar? Give me some advice. And he said without hesitation, he said marketing. I was like, marketing? What the hell would I spend money on marketing? It doesn't make damn sense to me. So I didn't. And I think, I know better than Stu. I'm going to do what I do. And so that was one. What it reminded me is that there is value in marketing for sure, right? And so then how do you create the right boundaries? And I think FR Secure, on that side, they've done a fantastic job at marketing, and they've grown enough to have a dedicated marketing team. Same thing, at Security Studio. And I think if you're a mission-driven organization, it's easier to market because
sure.
there's things that we will never do. And if I find out about it, I don't know, I never had to. I don't know what I would do, but it would be bad. And so you never lie to a customer. You never take advantage of a customer.
Right.
Yeah.
So there should be value in your service or in your product that you don't need to exaggerate, that you don't need to lie. You don't need to take advantage. This entire industry, the entire information security industry is a service industry. This is not a product industry. And so keep that in mind when you're selling products. If nobody knows how to use your damn product, or if it takes 5 people to manage your product, weigh that against the value you're getting out of the product. I mean, go through this logical thought process, because you're never going to be able to solve the people problem with technology. You won't be able
Yeah.
to solve AI. You won't be able to solve it with any kind of spam filtering and other crap you're putting in place. This is really a life issue. So from a marketing standpoint, it's just tell people the truth. And we found that it only takes three things. I like simple, right? Don't overcomplicate crap. It takes three things to get a customer: trust, credibility, and likability. That's it.
Right.
If they trust you, you're credible, and you're not a jerk, chances are pretty good you're going to get them as a customer.
Yeah. There's a few things that come to mind too in this conversation. For me, specifically around the business angle and marketing. First and foremost, like you said, it's not our wheelhouse, right? As business owners out there, as tech-minded guys, though we'd love to do everything in the business, it's probably something that we should either
I
bring
don't want
someone
to.
in or hire out to do.
I
The
don't want to
second
do
thing,
meetings. No meetings.
yeah,
Right.
yeah. I mean, and so many business owners get caught up in the little details because again, we're tech-minded and focused. The color, right? Or
Right.
or this font or whatever. But that's not getting your message out there. And the longer you sit on and stew on that kind of stuff, you're not going very far while you're doing that. But another thing, so there's that. Get out of your own way, hire someone to do it. The other failure I've seen a lot in business is going out and hiring the wrong people and based on promises. We're going to get you this many leads. We're going to, by this date, have this, right? These promises of marketing and leads and generating X amount of business. And you guys, I'm sure, have run into this over time in both of the businesses where you've sank money into something and it just didn't come to fruition. And of course, there's no guarantees, right? They might tell you
Right.
there are, but so you really have to be careful there. I'd say, from that side, going out and doing your research and making sure that, you're talking to people who can refer that, a company to you that's going to do a good job for you, I think is really important. The last thing I want to mention, I'll let you guys both comment on these things. But the last thing that I wanted to mention was just in that same kind of realm of things, the going out and spending that money and doing that is all well and good. But there is not a guarantee at the end of the day. You're not going to be guaranteed new business. So where you can almost guarantee business, especially in the MSP world, is your existing customer base. They're the ones that are going to refer 90+% of your new business. So go back out to those guys and take care of your existing customers. It's easy for MSPs to always be looking for the next customer, but there's so much that you can do with the existing ones. And especially as we build into this cybersecurity realm of things, that's an area where you really can go back out to those existing customers and educate them on what's going on out in the world. So,
Well, and I
any takes on that?
promise you, I can promise to any customer, and I can promise to any friend, I can promise to anybody that I'll tell you the truth.
Right.
And so value the truth. That's why mission is so important to me. It keeps me honest. If you focus on the mission, you'll make money. If you focus on the money, you won't make the mission. It's that simple. And so, and you live in a place like this, it's paradise, and, just bought a truck, I mean, money's not really it's never been a focus for me either, but the coolest thing about it is I go to bed every single night knowing I never took advantage of somebody. I didn't sell them something they didn't need. I didn't lie to them to get them to buy some service that they didn't need. I mean, and if I did, it was unintentional and I need to know about it. You know what I mean? And that's an open invitation to anybody at any time, because it goes against what I'm trying to be, in this world. So you can always do that. You can always tell people the truth. There's always times when, yeah, can you do this one thing? No, I can't do that. Or can I do this one thing? I think I can do it, but I've never done it before. you know, people love that. I've never had a project ever taken from me. I don't do projects anymore, which is, well, I do projects, but you know, weird shit. But it's cool because I've never had a customer not take me up on that offer before when I was just honest. Like I was asked to do an FDA validation. Have you guys ever done an FDA validation? Who the hell would ever want to do an FDA validation? But I was asked to do an FDA validation. I was like, so I read about it. I was like, I think I can do it, but I've never done it before. And they hired us, you know, and I think I did all right, you know, that they still do business with us. But, you know, it's stuff like that where I think we have to put up this facade like we're something that we're not in order to get customers. You know, we focus so much on our competition without realizing that 80% of the market ain't even doing shit. So rather than focusing on the competition and trying to beat them out all the time, why don't you focus on yourself, be the best you can be, market that. And then you're not intimidated by your competition, right? Because I'm not competing against you. What I'm trying to do is partner with you so that we can go get the 80% that's not doing anything rather than fighting over the 20% that is.
Right.
So, you know, I think so much of marketing is just, you know, trying to one up each other, and it's all bullshit.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes a ton of sense. So, yeah, with that, I mean, I think, you know, one of the things, so we talked about failures and things you shouldn't do. And I think, Evan, your advice to someone from a marketing perspective would be to tell the truth. So that
Always.
makes, you know, that makes a ton of sense. And I think you absolutely should.
And just to clarify on that too, really quick, because there's two types of lies. There's lies of commission and there's lies of omission. A lie of commission is something that I told you that was outright untrue, right? And then there's lies of omission. That's me not telling you something that I should have told you.
Yeah.
And so it's on both sides. The commission, the lies of commission, I have like zero patience for, none.
Right.
And you get fired for that. You know, it's our number one core value. You can't compromise ever. And then the second one, the lies of omission, I'm a little less of a hard ass on that one, you know, because I do that to my wife. I mean, she would have left me on that stuff. But the lies of commission, and it's so you have to live it out. It has to be part of your being. Like I told, I'll give you for example, Oscar Minks over at FR Secure. He asked if I could run this query for him on this database, right, to get a whole bunch of data for reporting and whatever. And I told him, yeah, for sure. And then he checked in like a week later. He's like, so, you know, where's it coming? I'm like, I sent the email off to the developers, you know, I'll check in again. And then I realized this went on for like a couple weeks. And then I realized on Sunday that I never actually sent the damn email to the developers. And so I called him up on Sunday night. I'm like, dude, I never sent the damn email. It's like, oh, that's all right. And I'm like, yeah, but I gave you the impression that I did. You know, and in my opinion, that's a lie of omission. I need to come clean on that shit. So, but I mean, you have to have that fabric of integrity, I think. And if you, unless you're in this business to just take advantage of people and make a shitload of money, which makes you a target for people like me, which is fine too. I mean, I'm probably not going to do anything, you know, outright, but I don't know how you can sleep well at night knowing that you just took somebody's money and you didn't provide any value that was commensurate with that money. So
Yeah.
it's got to start at the top, man.
Oh, that's great advice. And Kennedy, you know, thinking about, you know, our audience here, MSPs, IT business owners, cybersecurity consulting firms, you know, when we're talking about for them going out and marketing to businesses, you know, what advice would you have to those guys as far as from a business standpoint, from a business owner, like, you know, getting out of their own way kind of thing? What's your advice?
I mean, honestly, everything we've talked about, you know, tell the truth, you know, getting out and doing QBRs, understanding the business, asking the questions of, you know, where is the business going? Where are they growing? What new systems they're buying, and then working, you know, or do they have a compliance, or they're trying to win a contract for compliance? So I always kind of look at this, you know, you talk about the mission before money. I also kind of think of it as, you know, we talk about like servant leadership. It's also kind of, we're here to serve our customers or our partners, and then their customers. So that end business user, or that client that gets the emails, that does the day to day, that's the one I'm trying to take care of. And when we go in with that mindset and our partners, MSP partners that have that same kind of mindset of they're there to help make it easier for that business to do their job, um, really that's when that net revenue retention just skyrockets.
Mhm.
When you carry that mission in. So, I mean, it seems like it should be common sense. I mean, again, going back to telling the truth, I don't have to remember the lies because the truth is reality.
Yeah.
So, and
Yeah, I
then,
think
and then
you're 100%
partnering.
right. And it's believing in what you do is such a big
Yeah.
part of this, right? I mean, like there's no gimmicks. You don't have to
Mm-mm.
rely on all of that.
No.
If one, you're telling the truth and you truly believe in what you're doing. If you understand
Right.
that this is a necessary thing that every business owner has to look at, should be doing, should be dealing with, then I think it's really easy at that point to have people believe you because you truly believe yourself, right? It's just
Right.
not just something you're selling. So that's great. um I think the last thing on marketing really is, I wanted to hit on was, do you guys think that there's like specific target markets these guys should be hitting, MSPs who've dealt with small businesses for so long? Or are we thinking of it wrong, and it really is an opportunity for every business out there? Like cybersecurity to me is something that is necessary for all businesses, but a lot of people are saying no, it's compliance, but it's this, it's that, right? So but to me, there isn't a business out there, I don't care if it's the smallest business, that it could be the coffee shop down the street, the threat is the same. So to me, that's how I think. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, my kid would love to stick a rubber ducky in your POS machine at the coffee shop. So
Okay,
yes,
well, hold on.
I.
Let me make a note of that.
Oh yeah, we gotta lock some stuff up. So I think all business needs. What the problem that I see in the news and the cybersecurity, that is that we get the noise is the big ones. MGM, somebody was just talking about Target again the other day. All of these big organizations that have a data breach. They're not talking about my dentist who had a data breach. That now all of my PHI data is now out for sale. It's been out for sale for a while, but it's out for sale. And then there was a ransomware that he couldn't recover from, and now he had to shut down. So we don't hear about the hundreds or thousands of businesses, small businesses that close every day. We only hear about the big noisy, the big tech executives and sitting in front of Congress, and we don't see those small businesses. So I think sometimes it's a disservice that people are have their awareness. They think they're too small. They don't have anything that's going to be compromised. But 15 minutes. I mean, probably most of the people on this webinar in 15 minutes could probably own 5 or 10 businesses in this office park, and an ACH transfer, and then they have to shut down. So I don't know where I was
Well,
going with my rant,
I mean,
but
this kind of rolls
ADHD,
into
baby.
sales a bit. Yeah, it
it's
rolls into sales a bit.
yeah.
Evan, when when thinking about this and thinking about those smaller businesses who really need cybersecurity help, but are not convinced or don't believe that it can happen to them, right? You could tell them all day long, hey, you need to be worried about this stuff. How do you convince them or get them to understand that this is something that they absolutely need and should be part of, just your normal tech package, or, whatever your offering is? How do you convince those people that this is a real thing?
Well, it starts with a relationship. I mean, information security is it's a people thing, right?
Yeah.
And so we track a lot, like time to close and, all these metrics and numbers. And it kind of doesn't matter. I mean, it shouldn't. I mean, I understand that, to make business, to make money, you need to track that stuff and make sure, make it smaller, whatever they do. That's obviously not my strong suit either. But it's establish a relationship. You know, over the years, there's been so many companies that said no to us up front for whatever reason, but we maintained the relationship and they came back later and did the right thing. You know, so I think from an MSP standpoint, if you're newer to the cybersecurity industry, meaning you're offering services or products that you haven't offered before, one, have the confidence to know that whatever you're selling provides value to them, right? Because that's going to help you defend where you're coming from, right? And so, and if you have problems defining where those values come, that's why people like us are here. You know, ask me. I'm not going to steal your damn customer. I got too much work to do already. You know what I mean?
Right.
I would love to help you serve the customer. What I don't want you ever to do is to serve the customer wrong. I don't want you to ever take advantage of a customer, because that's more mess that I have to clean up later. Plus, I hate seeing people get taken advantage of, you know? So when you talk about the market to approach, whatever market you feel comfortable, every single business everywhere that's ever existed needs a risk assessment. Start with that, right? And that should point you in the direction of what other investments you need to make if you're confused about that, or have a trusted, relationship with somebody like Mike that can be like, because Mike's never going to sell you anything you don't need. If he doesn't have a product to sell you, he's still going to have the relationship, point you in the right direction. And if there's a need later on, you're going to come back to him. You know, those are the kind of relationships you need to have. One of the things I would never, ever do is ever buy a product from anybody who is trying to sell me something that doesn't know me. Right. So if I get a cold email or a phone call and you're trying to sell me some, I was going to mention a whole bunch of company names, but I'm not going to do that. No, you need to know yourself well enough to know what you want, to know what you need, without a vendor telling you what you know, what you want, what you need. Right. And if you don't know what you want or what you need, that's where you need to spend your time right now. Because it's your business. It's not my business. If your business goes under, it'll break my heart, but I'm still doing fine. You know what I mean? And so we oversell fear, but and where I've been going a lot more lately is trying to sell value. Right? We've always in our industry, being, because information security is a risk thing, and risk is always based on a negative consequence. So it's always a loss prevention sort of discussion. But now that we've been doing it wrong for so long, I think it's a great opportunity for me to create actual value, to actually add something to your bottom line. And one, for instance, would be to do an asset inventory. Start with the hardware assets. Let's find all the hardware assets that you're not using anymore, that you don't need anymore. Let's get rid of them. We just saved you money doing that. And from a risk perspective, from a CISO perspective, we just reduced the attack surface. Those are systems I don't have to patch anymore. I don't have to maintain anymore. I don't have to worry about them anymore. And then go to software. Do the same damn thing, right? And you'll find that in a 12-month period, if you're just engaging with a new customer, mid-sized customer, you might be able to save them tens of thousands of dollars, maybe hundreds of thousands of dollars, just in those two things, where I've just now added to your bottom line.
Yeah.
You know, because the language of business, we talk about that crap a lot. The language of business, according to Warren Buffett, who knows like business stuff, is accounting. So start communicating to them and how you're going to make them more money.
Yeah, a lot of us in the managed service world use that with communications, telecom agents, and things like that. We would bring someone in and let them quote out and look at the existing telecom network, communication network, and in doing that, typically pay for our managed services, because they were on old antiquated T1s and things like that, all this kind of crazy stuff, right? And they'd come in, they'd say, we can put all this new high-speed stuff in, and you're going to save X amount of money. And we'd say, well, right there, paid for our managed services. There you go. Right. So in the same respect, going in and doing asset inventory and things like that.
I was talking to another business leader who was, complaining about sales last year or whatever. He said, because they cut information security budgets across the board. And I'm like, hell yeah. It's like, what do you mean? I go, that's less money that they're misspending. You know, I mean, if you don't understand how, I mean, there's so many classic examples, and I keep going back to like the SolarWinds breach, right? This super sophisticated attack, which it was pretty cool, could have been mitigated with a firewall. Chances are really good every one of your MSP customers has a firewall. So is it being used properly, right? And it's not ingress, it's ingress and egress, right? It's both ways. So there's a great opportunity right there. And there's something I could use for marketing as an example.
Yeah.
Everybody heard of the SolarWinds attack, right? Did you know that the SolarWinds attack was mitigated by the IRS? And this is all public information because they had egress filtering properly in place. We want to do the same thing for you. And the reason why I want to do the same thing for you is present the same kind of attack, but also maybe identify some command and control, maybe a place where we can do some threat hunting with that information, whatever. It's just a prudent thing to do, but you already have the tool. Why not use it right?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the biggest sales opportunity right now for MSPs is to go and create that next QBR, go out to that customer that you have today and talk about what you're doing. Do a risk assessment, use our core assessment or whatever you have. If you have a spreadsheet, use it. Whatever you got to use, do a risk assessment, right?
Mhm.
And that opens the door to the cybersecurity conversation, which, funny enough, most of the customers think you're handling this for them. So you have to you have to communicate to them that you aren't. And in your next QBR, you could do that. You could say, hey, we're going to come out, we're going to do a risk assessment for your business. It's just part of our, new thing that we're doing or whatever. Go out there, do it. And then sit down with that customer and say, here, there's some things we haven't done for you. And this is fairly new stuff, but you're hearing about these things, breaches, all this stuff in the news. It's real. It's here. And now we can provide a solution that covers you for that. It's not something we've covered before, and it only costs you this much more to add it to your solution. By doing that, not only have you notified them it's not something you cover, maybe you get additional revenue, but on top of that, you cover your ass, right? Because
not only are you not doing that for your customer, you can't do that for your customer.
yeah,
The people who are ultimately responsible for information security in that organization is the customer.
right.
So have that discussion with them. How am I responsible for this? What information should I know on a regular basis? And that's how I serve you. Right? I mean, any business that, financial risks, compliance risks, legal risks, all these other things. Why wouldn't you know your information security risks? It's just another risk. And, I think
Absolutely.
MSPs that are good
And
serving their customers understand that and help their businesses.
Yeah. Did you have something to
and
add?
I was gonna say, I think it's how you approach it too with them, right? You don't going in with them and saying, how do you, one of the things that we like to do in the QBR is how is your organization with security awareness training? Do you think they're doing pretty well? How do you feel that they're doing? Getting them to kind of think about it and buy in versus us coming in and saying, you guys are failing at phishing. You have all this stuff. You've gotten a couple of BECs lately. You really need to get security awareness training because you guys kind of suck. Instead of taking that tack, I mean, that's honest, it's truthful, but
But
at the
it
same
goes back to
time,
the relationship too, doesn't it? I mean,
it's a relationship. Yep.
because some of those
And
customers, I do have that kind of relationship where I can just come right out and tell you suck, but some don't,
Yeah, but
yeah,
at the end of the day, if you can give them the data. So for instance, like with Teams
yeah,
or with S2Me, you can send out the, those assessments to the employees, and then all of a sudden you have the data to say, look,
yeah,
we're not doing so well here, as you can see. We sent this out to
right,
the folks in the organization. And so, what we think would be a good plan would be to get you on some security awareness training, which would, help, potentially cover those issues that we're seeing,
but help you
rather
suck
than
less.
obviously taking that other approach, which is like, you guys just suck, and we know you're not
We're
doing
supposed to
this.
be desuckifying
right.
people.
Right, exactly.
You just talk about. I guess what I was trying to say is I want to ask them the question in a way that they're thinking about it rather than listening to me just tell them that they need to get security awareness training. I want to ask them in a way that says, how do you guys think this is going? And I want to get their feedback, because then I hear different things too. If I'm just selling in that widget of security awareness training or getting them onto it, but I don't get the feedback that they all hate it. It's cumbersome. If they got it tweaked a little bit, they would do better, or they're afraid to click and because they think they're going to be policed and get in trouble for it. So
Yeah, I think one of the
I
biggest
hate it when
failures, I think one of the biggest failures we have as kind of tech-minded people going in and trying to sell things is exactly that. We're trying to sell a thing to somebody.
yeah,
So
Yep.
instead of selling the thing, we should be talking to them about how we're going to help them, what we're going to do.
Correct.
You know, what is it that it's not the tech, it's not this EDR solution or XDR or SOC or whatever, or, you know,
Right.
this type of protection. They don't care about the thing. So your solution stack of what you put together is not the
Correct.
thing you're selling. You're selling
Correct.
them this mindset, this idea, this protection, this peace of mind, right? That's what we're providing to them and selling to
Focus
them.
on the
So we have
mission and
to
you
do
make
that.
money.
Yep. What's
Correct.
Focus on the mission and
Focus.
you'll make
Yeah.
money.
that? Yep, exactly. And
Yep.
yeah, so those are great. All right, so cool. Just thinking about, you know, sales and things like that. I think a lot of people get caught up in not understanding how to get educated, what to do. This is all new. Would you guys say it's a good idea for them to lean on their vendors that are providing these services and solutions to help them? I know for us, we help beyond even what people understand or know. So things like sales trainings and talking to them about, you know, their solution and their stack and pricing it and all these things that you wouldn't think would come from a vendor. Is that, I know with Austria, you guys do a lot of similar stuff as well.
Mhm.
Do you think that these guys should be leaning on their vendors to help educate them on all this stuff?
I do. I think it's you for sure. You have to lean on your vendors, talk to other vendors, get involved in different cybersecurity type events, attend stuff like this, where you can hear people talk about different products or solutions in our cyber industry. The more it's kind of goes back to, I think you were talking about the more you know. It's like those PSAs,
Yeah.
and be able to, because I think for me the biggest problem is making sure you don't drink the Kool-Aid. So, I'm never going to ask you to go howl it and take a picture or video of you, and so when that honesty, that authenticity, that kind of transparency, that's what you want to look for in these vendors. And when you go have those conversations with them, pay attention to that and judge for yourself. Go with, like what I do, I always go with my gut. I listen to it. If it feels squeamish, then I'm not going to carry forward. And then I'll validate with that vendor. But lean on them to kind of help you understand the tool and the product, and they're not going to know your customers like you do, though.
Right.
I mean, that's really, they're not going to know how to communicate into the industry or the market that you sell into. That's your sweet spot. That's why you're successful as an MSP in there. But definitely leverage them to help you, kind of convey that messaging, why this product or the service is important for them. Like security assessment. You two would be, if I needed to talk to somebody about why they should do a security assessment, I would pull you two into a conversation and say, here.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, it really comes down to understanding as you choose your vendors and as you kind of get in bed with the vendor and you understand if they're
Wait a
focused
second,
on just
what?
them, it's not a good relationship, right? If
We're
the
supposed to get in
vendors,
bed with them?
what's that?
We're supposed to get in bed with them?
Yeah. Yeah.
A twin
Yeah.
size bed.
You don't, Evan? Come on. Where
Right. Well,
I thought that was a thing that you did.
that's another thing I haven't been doing right then. Put that on the
Right,
list.
right. You gotta try it. Yeah, it's pretty good.
I gotta tell
No,
my
the idea of like the vendors, if all they want to know is how many of my thing are you going to sell,
Right.
I'll help you
No.
sell my thing. They're not
Right.
interested in your business. They're not interested in
No.
seeing you grow. It's really every time I get on a call with any of our partners, it's really about me understanding how to make their business successful. And,
Correct.
some of that's gonna involve our solution or our product, and sometimes it doesn't. And that's okay. I'll have that conversation with someone to help them as best as I can with the, 25 plus years of knowledge in this industry, right? So, and I'm sure you guys are the same way.
Right. It goes back to that kind of
I
servant
don't know. I'm not really the
side.
same way. I've been sleeping with the vendors.
No.
Yeah.
Right.
That would be kind of funny though, but it goes
I'll
back
pass
to
that
that kind of that servant side of the mission before money. Really, That's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely. Well, awesome. Let's see if we had any questions come in. I'd love to get
There
to
are
those.
questions.
So we had some in the Q&A
Yeah,
here.
type your questions. Put up
amen, Evan.
Amen. Is that
Yeah.
Amen?
So all right,
Evan. Evan.
Amen. Amen. Amen.
so someone mentioned in when we were talking about AI that they're already seeing software developers using AI to automatically complete questionnaires for things like PCI, SOC 2, etc. I mean, that can't be a good idea, is it?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. It's I don't know I don't know what the AI is, how it's been set up, how it's, the algorithm, I don't know what's plugged into, so generally no, but you could use it for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because that
It's
would
just
be all,
automate.
that would be all subjective data inputs. And the good thing about AI for compliance is it's all not subjective, objective. The good thing about AI is it should be used for objective things. Check boxes, yes, no questions, stuff like that.
Automation.
Yeah, yeah, and in automation, I think there is a place. There's things that
Bags
can
under my eyes.
automatically be done. Be done.
Quit showing off your tattoos.
No, I have
Right, right.
bags under my eyes.
Mm.
Does this look weird?
Does look strange.
Does it look weird?
So Jason said amen to whatever Evan is saying right now. That was a little earlier, or maybe when you're talking
Jason,
about
checks in
getting
the
in bed
mail.
with vendors,
I need
maybe
the address.
could have been then. When you're talking about getting into bed with vendors, maybe amen to that.
I gotta get clearance on that.
So Lyle asks a question. So for marketing, how would you explain the difference between information security compared to cybersecurity, since most businesses think of cybersecurity as a tool? So how do you
That Evan's weirdness.
make that difference?
So literally, cybersecurity is a subset of information security. So information security covers administrative, physical, and technical control. So the people part of security, the physical part of security, and the technical part of security, right? And like if I was going to attack an organization, I would attack the people. I wouldn't attack your compute. I could, but the return on the investment is much easier just to ask you for a password than it is to crack one, right? So the administrative controls piece is really important. And it doesn't really matter how great your firewall is if I come and steal your server. So we can't negate the physical controls as well. And then you've got the technical piece. And the difference between that and cybersecurity is cybersecurity, by definition, cyber is of or pertaining to computers, it's technical. So, and if I only, now, and that's why I have to ask a lot, because we don't speak the same language in this industry. When
Right.
somebody's talking to me about cybersecurity, I have to stop them and usually ask, are you talking cybersecurity or information security? And I may ask it that way, or I may ask it with a little more tact, but I need to know if we're talking about the same thing. Which, usually helps. Because if you're not
Yeah.
talking about the same thing, if you're treating this like this is a technology problem, then we got a problem.
Yeah, and I think everything is getting lumped into that cybersecurity
Which is fine. If you want to
moniker
refer to
word,
information security as cybersecurity, that's
or as
cool.
part of it, right?
But we just
Yeah.
need to be
Right.
clear.
Yeah. Yeah. So, okay, that's great. If you have any other questions, feel free to jot them really quickly. I know we're getting to the top of the hour here. What final thoughts do you guys have as far around any of this sales, marketing, AI, any of this stuff?
The final thoughts are, I think Mike is awesome. I really dig him. I look forward to him coming down to see me in, whenever you're coming. And, Frank, I think you're awesome too. That's all I got.
Yeah, I just don't have as cool of a beard.
You never will.
You can work on it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No.
that's how you get imposter syndrome. So be careful when you compare yourself to other
That's right.
people.
That's right. Stay away from that.
Mhm.
Kennedy, any final thoughts from you?
Tell the truth.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tag that.
You can't go wrong, man. I mean, sometimes you miss out on things. Like,
Yeah.
we've missed many projects over the years, I'm sure, where we wouldn't compromise on that, right? We're not going to
Yep.
tell the customer something that we're not going to be able to do, and the competition did. And in that case, we're not competing anyway. We're playing different games. So, sometimes it does hurt, and you have to be prepared for that. But overall, I think you do get a reputation. which is important, you know, in this
Mm-hmm.
industry, that you may not like to hear what I'm going to say to you, but you know it's not going to be a lie.
Right.
And you know I'm going to be open to, you may not feel like it, but I'll be open to criticism. I need to be criticized. I need to be held to account. Like if I tell you something that I think is the truth, I would never tell you something that I didn't think was the truth. But if it turns out that it's not the truth and you don't say something to me, you've now not, you need to save me from myself, and you need to
Right.
save the people that listen to me from me. So tell me when I'm not telling, you know, or challenge. Even if you think what I'm saying just doesn't seem right, get clarification. Either way, the conversation is going to be awesome because you're going to come away smarter, and so am I. So, you know, tell the truth all the time. Don't be afraid to question the truth. You know, ask your vendors, if a vendor's ever, you know, really asking you, you know, trying to sell you something, ask them how it's going to provide value to your business. Right. And if they say, well, it's going to save you from ransomware and $1 billion of losses or whatever, explain to me how that's going to do that. And is this my most significant risk? And if they say yes, call bullshit right there, because they don't know you. How the hell would they know that?
Right.
Only you know that. And if you don't know that, that's the damn problem, you know? So
Yeah.
I think, and that's how I identify a lot of transactional salespeople. I'm done with transactional. You know what I mean? I do relational.
Right.
And so
Right.
if I ask you challenging questions about how your product's going to provide value to me, if it is where I'm supposed to spend my next information security dollar, show me how that is. Because according to my risk assessment that I just did last quarter, your shit's not on here. So tell me how it's going to solve any of these problems for me. And,
Right.
you know, so you just have to be, I think, more discerning. You have to be able to, because at the end of the day, it is your problem. It's not my problem, right? It's the same thing at like home. You know, we're all CEOs of our houses, right? It's
Yeah.
just like little businesses. You know, we have budgets and we take money in and we spend it, and just like a little business. And the risks are pretty close to the same. They just scale. And so you're responsible for information security at your own home, right? The same thing would be at your business. It's whoever's at the top. And so you want to make sure that if you really care about your business, that you're making good risk decisions. If you're not
Right.
sure, there are answers to get those answers.
Yeah.
So that's all I got.
No, awesome, guys. You know, really appreciate both of you being on today.
Neuralink.
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
No.
who's Annie Mouse?
Any mouse attendees.
Any mouse.
What will you be next
Chicken.
to Neuralink? No, I will never get an implant.
Right.
No. I don't like, yeah. I'll stay away from IoT as much as
Right.
possible.
Because,
Right.
you know, if I figure if you put something like that in here, like you have to trust all these developers that they coded some good shit. And I don't know if
Yeah.
you've met many developers, but there are lots of developers who don't code good shit.
Yeah. Well, that may be
Using
a whole nother
ChatGPT
fireside
to
chat, the
code.
medical industry and medical
Ah,
devices and all that good stuff. So, you know, we'll keep that for the next one. Thank you guys so much for being on today and having this conversation. I think
We're gonna do
there's
this again soon, right? This is a podcast we're gonna do on this.
Yeah. So we'll continue these. With that, you guys, all the attendees should be getting some surveys and questionnaires. If you receive that, if you have ideas for more topics you want to hear about, feel free to jot those down on those. So we'd love to hear from you and have these formulated. So when we do these, it brings you the most value that we possibly can. Thanks, guys, again for jumping on today. Ton of value, and thank you everyone for showing up and taking your time with us. We really
Can we fly a
appreciate it.
drone in the next one?
What was that?
Can we fly the drone in the next
yeah.
one?
Yeah, that'd be fun. That'd be
We
fun.
live stream it.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, if you guys want to check out ostra.net, jump over there. You know, tons of good stuff for MSPs with all this managed service and MSSP stuff. And then if you're interested in learning more about risk management, feel free to jump over to securitystudio.com. We'll take care of you. Thanks, guys. Have a great one.
Thanks.
Yeah, you too. Thanks. See
Bye
ya.
now.